Hi everyone, my name is HAZIRAH. Today I will be presenting about the introduction on Child Act 2001. The Child Act 2001 is a Malaysian law which served to improve the Juvenile Courts Act 1947, the Women and Girl Protection Act 1973, and the Girl Protection Act 1991. Child Act 2001 is an act that consolidates and amends the law relating to the care, protection and rehabilitation of children and to provide for matters connected. Therefore, this act to apply throughout Malaysia. This act was introduced by Siti Sulaiman, Ministers of National Unity and Community Development in Dewan Rakyat on 17 July 2000. However, this act was passed by Parliament on 18 December 2000 but implemented on 1 August 2002. Child Act 2001 Act 611 was introduced by referring by four principles of the Convention on the Rights of the Child, which is the right on survival and development, best interest of children, non-discrimination, and the view of the child. The latest amendment for Child Act is the Act Amendment 2060 A1511. This latest Child Act amendment have four main focus elements to improve from previous act, which is on child registry, community service order (CSO), and a family-based care and heavier penalty. This act was gazetted after getting compliance of the 14th Yang di-Pertuan Agong Tunku Abdul Halim. The Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development (KPWKM) has implemented child care center and hotlines such as Taliah Noor 15999. Next, I will present to you guys about the policy problem. Before Child Act 2001 was integrated from Juvenile Court Act 1947, Women and Girl Protection Act 1973 and Child Protection Act 1991, there is several problems that occur between those acts before. The first problem that occur is the number of child physical abuse keep on rising every single year. Among all cases of child physical abuse, intraocular hemorrhage, usually child who get physical abuse, getting this by head trauma, caused by a hit by a person, by a fall or other types of blow to the head. A study was conducted in Malaysia in 1994. There are 369 cases of physical abuse treated in Hospital Kuala Lumpur in a year. 41 of them consist of 11.4% and 37 consist of 90% of them were 2 years old or less. The number of rape cases keep on rising drastically every year, as we can see from the table above. Second problem would be on the increasing number of sexual abuse, statutory rape, and teenage pregnancy before the implementation of Child Act 2001. World Health Organization (WHO) defined child sexual abuse as the involvement of a child in an activity which child is not developmentally prepared. A child is sexually abused in any activity which is sexual in nature for the purpose of any pornographic, photographic, recording, film, videotape, or performance sexual exploitation by any person. Child sexual abuse in Malaysia was not acknowledged until 1990s. The rising number of pedophilia cases as well as child pornography materials mark a significant worrisome situation. Thus, the occurrence of child sexual abuse across border requires serious attention from various parties, including government agencies, non-government agencies, community, society, families, as well as parents. The table below shows numbers of cases sexual abuse in 1997 until 1999. The third problem is on the increasing number of cases of child neglect. Every year in Malaysia, there is increasing number of cases of child neglect reported to be the victim and showing an upward trend. In general, child neglect defined as a failure by a parents or any of their guardians to provide necessary care to a child or any types of harm to the child. Their basic care includes appropriate leave of supervision, education, medical care, and their necessities, for example, such as food, shelter, and clothing. To most people, child neglect is categorized as less serious compared to sexual or physical abuse. A study has been done by the Department of Social Welfare, Malaysia. Usually, child neglect happens due to their parents' absence of social, economics, or physical resources. The table below shows increasing numbers of child neglect between 1997 until 1991.
So next, we will continue with the objectives and strategy for this policy. In the National Child Protection Policy, it sets out 7 main objectives, which are: the first one is to increase awareness and commitment of various parties to the protection of children as a shared responsibility. The second one is to create a safe and child-friendly environment. The third one is to encourage organizations that are directly and indirectly connected to children to establish their respective organizations' child protection policies. The fourth one is to protect every child from any form of neglect, abuse, violence, and exploitation. Designate that only appropriate individuals can deal directly with children. Improving support services to address neglect, abuse, violence, and exploitation of children. And the last one is improving research and development to improve limited protection for children. And next, we will proceed with the strategy part. To achieve the above objectives, 11 strategies are developed based on 4 main aspects, which are advocacy, prevention, support services, and research and development. The first one is in terms of advocacy. In advocacy, foster awareness on the importance of protecting children to all levels of community, including creating smart partnership with the media and NGOs, including private sector and community. Next strategy is ensuring children and members of the community, including legal practitioners, law students, educators, social workers, doctors, law enforcement personnel such as police and immigration officers, public transport drivers, and security guards are given an understanding of the rights of the children below CRC, which means Convention on the Rights of the Child, with a focus on the protection aspect. Next, ensure that those who deal directly with children are able to identify and subsequently report cases of neglect, abuse, violence, and exploitation.
Child abuse is a serious and pervasive issue in Malaysia. The first problem that occurs is the number of child abuse cases that keep on rising every single year. Despite increased efforts to prevent child abuse and neglect, the number of reported cases in Malaysia continued to rise. In 2020 alone, there were around 4,000 reported cases of child abuse, an increase of 15% from the previous year. This is a worrying trend that must be addressed urgently. The second problem is the increasing number of the sexual abuse. Statutory rape and teenage pregnancy before the implementation of Child Act 2001 in Malaysia prior to the enactment of the Child Act 2001. There was no specific law that protect children from sexual abuse and exploitation. This led to a significant number of cases of sexual abuse, including statutory rape and teenage pregnancy. According to the National Population and Family Development Board, in 2019, there was around 2,000 cases of teenage pregnancy reported in Malaysia. This highlights the urgent need for better protection of children from sexual abuse and exploitation. The third problem is the increasing number of the cases of child neglect in Malaysia. Child neglect is a form of abuse that occurs when a child's basic needs are not met, including food, shelter, clothing, and medical care. In Malaysia, child neglect is a significant problem with many cases going unreported in 2020.
There were around 2,000 reported cases of child neglect in Malaysia, an increase of 10,000 from the previous 10% from the previous year. This is a worrying trend that must be addressed urgently to ensure that all children in Malaysia are properly cared for and protected. In conclusion, child abuse is a significant and pervasive issue in Malaysia. The rising number of child abuse cases, increased incidents of sexual abuse and exploitation, teenage pregnancy, and child neglect are alarming trends that require urgent attention. Moving on to the objective evaluation. The Child Act 2001 aimed to increase awareness and commitment of various parties in Malaysia towards the protection of children as a shared responsibility. While progress has been made in terms of increasing awareness of child protection issues such as the establishment of child protection committees and the strengthening of child protection laws, there is still much work to be done to ensure that all children in Malaysia are effectively protected from abuse and neglect. Therefore, it can be said that some objectives of the Child Act 2001 have been achieved, but there is still room for improvement. For the second objective is to create a safe and child-friendly environment for all children in Malaysia. While progress has been made in terms of improving child protection measures, such as the establishment of child protection committees and the strengthening of child protection laws, there are still significant challenges in creating a truly safe and child-friendly environment. More efforts are needed to address the issues such as child abuse, neglect, exploitation, and discrimination, and to promote child participation and empowerment. Therefore, it can be said that while the Child Act 2001 has contributed to creating a safer and more child-friendly environment in Malaysia, there is still more work to be done to fully achieve this objective. For the third objective is to protect children from neglect, abuse, violence, and exploitation in an ongoing process that requires continuous effort from all parties involved. While the Act has contributed significantly to improving child protection measures in Malaysia, the problem of child abuse and neglect is still prevalent. There is a need to strengthen and enforce the Child Act 2001, raises awareness on child protection issues, and provide support and services for victims of abuse and neglect. Therefore, while the Act has made progress in protecting children from neglect, abuse, violence, and exploitation, more needs to be done to fully achieve this objective.
Next point is strengthening prevention efforts, which is referring to a guide for parents on developing resilience in tough times like exercise, by spending time on exercise, linger longer over your morning cup of coffee or tea, watch your own preferred program, or speak with a buddy. And this can be listed on a practitioner guide on improving reporting process, which various systems have various directions that cover any incident to Child Protective Service, and it covers anybody who 18 who is legally tasked with caring for the kid, such as grandparents or other family members, foster parents, or a daycare staff. Third point, it refers on enhancing support for victims. For example, policy could be modified to provide more comprehensive and long-term support for victims, including access to mental health service and other resources, which is identity, social abilities, and tolerance for more. On fourth point of increasing accountability for institutions, it has focusing on improving child welfare result through care system like integrated cooperation, individualized, strength-based care, cultural and language sensitivity, engagement of children, youth and family, and community-based strategies and responsibilities. All these behavior and development are influenced by a child's early interactions, with nurturing adults and the forming of bonds with them. Since children learn to trust their parents to give them the love, acceptance, helpful guidance, and safety they need to thrive when parents and kids have strong, warm sentiments for one another. Lastly, by incorporating new research and data, this fair understanding of the problem's definition and extent is essential to developing effective solutions by clarifying in the field of child abuse and neglect. However, has proven to be constant difficulty
Assalamualaikum and selamat sejahtera. My name is AHMAD SUHAIL and I am from class AM2284K. In this video presentation, I will present the conclusion that can be made from a child protection policies. We may infer that children need to be protected and shown adequate affection based on our knowledge of the child protection as a policy. It has been described in the context of a previous explanation. Okay, more attention has to be paid on this because children who are often treated unfairly and who don't receive enough affection will always feel resentment and dissatisfaction towards people who are unkind to them. While they are still too immature to do so, they are nonetheless conscious being with feelings. A person's personality will determined by a shaped by the experience of a parenting a kid. Children will be act rudely if they have been raised in a sad and unkind environment, and also they will act unexpectedly and have more difficulty in thinking. For example, they will lying and insulting for the others. Furthermore, in this child protection policy, it's described that a child protection policy is a collection of rules and procedures established to protect kids from being harmed and subjected to abuse. Okay, by this policy too, it is outlined that the obligation of a group people and the government to safeguard kids against the exploitation and physical abuse or sexual abuse. Move to the goal of the policy. The goal of the policy is to prevent harm to children anywhere they may come into contact with adults, including in their homes, schools, communities, and other places. In outline, the obligation of group people and the government to safeguard kids against exploitation and physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. In this conclusion too, we talk about giving a children right and being in a top priority in all decision-making process because it also emphasizes that by the child protection policy. We move to the next point, which is what can we learn from the child abuse policy. There are many things that we may be utilized as an example and lesson learned when researching a child protection policy. In this discussion too, we as an adult, we have the right to stop improper behavior towards children who are oppressed by a cruelty that occurs to them as a human being with a rational feeling and thoughts. First point is we can understanding the different types of child abuse. In this context, child protection policies usually define the different types of child abuse, including physical, sexual, emotional, and neglectful abuse. Understanding this type of abuse can help individuals recognize when abuse is occurring and take steps to prevent it. We move to the second point, which is recognizing signs of a child abuse. Child abuse policy often include information about the signs and symptoms of the child abuse, which can help individual to recognize and when the child may be experiencing abuse. Last point is can help to investigating and prosecuting cases of a child abuse. Child abuse policies outline the process of investigating and prosecuting cases of a child abuse, which can help to ensure that perpetrators are held accountable for their actions. So next, why is it important to continue having a child protection policy in the future? It is important to continue having a child protection policy in the future because it can prevent, identify, and respond to child abuse, which is essential for protecting the well-being and safety of children. So here are some reasons why is it important. The first one is protecting children. A child abuse policy is designed to protect children from harm and ensure their rights are respected, helping to create safer environment and reduce the incident of child abuse. Second point is providing support. A child abuse policy provides resource and support for victims of abuse, such as medical care, counseling, and legal assistance to help them recover and move forward with their life. The last point, which is increasing awareness and education. A child abuse policy can help increase awareness and education about child abuse, including the sign and system of abuse, and empower individuals to recognize and respond to it. Okay, next we move to the last point, which is have we need to terminate or abolish the policy in the future. So according to the modification of the child abuse policy, they aim at the improving prevention effect, enhancing support for victims, and holding perpetrators and institution accountable. This modification do not undermine the importance of having a policy, but emphasize the need to continue evaluate and improve it to ensure it is remain effective. Okay, additionally, there are valid agreement in favor that maintaining the policy that should be considered carefully of children perception and feelings. The first one is the healthy development of the children is crucial to the future. It is because children are more vulnerable to poor living situation due to their growth and development, which can lead to illness, starvation, and poverty, threatening to their futures and the future of the society. The second point is the cost to society of failing its children are huge. Children experience have a major impact on their future development, determining their contribution to society and cause. So in conclusion, child abuse policies are essential for protecting the rights and safety of children, and modifications to the policy can help to improve its effectiveness and it can remain relevant. So that's all from me. Thank you.